Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's Last Post ceremony. My name is Richard Cruz, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Navy is Lieutenant Commander Philip Bywaters. We're honoured to welcome members of the Royal United Services Institute of Australia, Tasmanian branch. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. We acknowledge the members of RSL and Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria and RSL Queensland, who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by visitors to the memorial. Australia's Federation Guard is a tri-service ceremonial unit of the Australian Defence Force. It provides a ceremonial presence at civil and military events and during visits to Australia by foreign dignitaries. The Guard will now dismount the catapult party from the tomb of the unknown Australian soldier within the Hall of Memory. I invite you all to please stand and join in singing the national anthem.
Rejoice, for we are your men.
If you're able to be seated, please do so. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight we'll read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and operations for more than a century. But first we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths and floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the pool of reflection.
Today, we remember and pay tribute to Corporal Frederick Clement Shaw. Frederick Clement Shaw was born in November 1877 in Brisbane to Frederick Ellison and Helen Masterton Shaw. He attended Brisbane Normal School and Brisbane Grammar School and trained as an accountant. In October 1899, war broke out in South Africa between the two Boer republics and the British Empire. Shaw enlisted in the 3rd Queensland Mounted Infantry at Brisbane and sailed to South Africa in March 1900 on the Duke of Portland. In southern Africa, Shaw served in the British colony Rhodesia and later in the Transvaal. The 3rd Queensland Mounted Infantry assisted in the relief of the siege of Mafeking in May 1900. The unit was itself besieged by a Boer force at Elands River in August that year, against which it managed to hold out until being relieved by British troops. At the Battle of Renoster Kop, one of the last pitched battles of the conflict, Shaw's unit formed part of a large British and colonial force. In June 1901, his unit returned to Brisbane and was disbanded. When he returned to Australia, Shaw began working as an accountant with the National Mutual Insurance Company. In 1914, he married Effie Constance Margaret Bell, and the next year the couple had a son, Frederick. In February 1916, Shaw decided to enlist in the Australian Imperial Force. He trained in Brisbane until August, when he once again left Australia on active service. Sailing on the transport ship Barawa, he disembarked at Plymouth in October. For the duration of the voyage to England, Shaw was appointed the ship's sergeant major. This was a role that combined administrative and disciplinary tasks and drew on his familiarity with military procedure. In England, Shaw trained for a further month before sailing to France. There, he joined his unit, the 31st Australian Infantry Battalion, in December. Promoted to the rank of Lance Corporal in January 1917, he was selected to attend the Anzac Corps School in August. Having successfully completed his course of study, he was promoted again to the rank of Corporal. When Shaw returned to his unit in the field, they had spent 16 months in support positions in northern France, and the unit diary records that the men were keen to enter the front line. In September, the 31st Battalion moved north, just over the border with Belgium. With a general expectation that a major attack was planned, 25 men in the battalion refused their allotted leave to England so as not to miss it. The British commanders were preparing to launch a major offensive in Flanders. Fighting eastwards from the Belgian town of Ypres, the British sought to regain the high ground from the Germans. The 31st Battalion entered the front line of this assault in late September as part of the Battle of Polygon Wood. Having taken and held the shattered forest, the 31st Battalion was occupying the ground in the days following the battle. On the 29th of September 1917, Shaw was in a support trench when a shell landed in it. He and 5 other men of the unit were killed instantly. Frederick Shaw was buried near where he fell, but in subsequent fighting in early 1918, his place of burial was lost. He is now commemorated on the Meningate Memorial, alongside 6,000 Australians who were killed in Belgium and have no known grave. Survived in Australia by his wife Effie and their infant son Frederick, Shaw was 40 years old. His name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my right, amongst almost 62,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Corporal Frederick Clement Shaw, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes this evening's last post ceremony. Please feel free to visit the poppy display in the grounds as you leave this evening. You may also wish to indulge in refreshments at Poppy's Cafe, which will remain open until 9 p.m. this evening. And join us back in the commemorative area here from 6:30 till late for the opening, which will involve Australia's Federation Guard mounting a vigil till 10 o'clock tonight. Photographic projections onto the front of the building and the beam of light to Parliament House. That'll commence at 8 p.m. tonight. So we thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial and wish you all a very good evening. Thank you.